Design and Dementia podcast. I'm really glad you're here today with me. I'm Dr. Joanna Sun, and this week I want to talk to you about something that I think is genuinely underappreciated in aged care, and that is what the building itself does to people sleeping inside it. We spend a lot of time thinking about layout, about signage, about how people move through a space, but what about the quality of the light? What about the temperature of the air? What if those invisible features of the building, the things we barely notice, are quietly undermining the health of the people we care for? So, a new study out of Tokyo that's published in 2026 has taken a very close look at exactly this question and what the researchers found should change the way we think about aged care or nursing home design. And honestly, the way we think about some of the most some of the symptoms we see in residents day to day as well. So this study was led by Kono, Nara, and Nagasawa, and they followed residents across two aged care facilities or nursing homes, which are the terms that they use in the research paper, in Tokyo for a full year. And they measured the same things across all 4 seasons, and what they were measuring was quite specific. They looked at indoor temperature, light intensity at different times of the day, and the sleep quality of residents. Now, the 2 facilities they chose were interesting because they represented the 2 dominant building styles that you see in aged care in Japan. One was the conventional style facility, more of a medical model, the kind with large shared rooms, long corridors, centralized multipurpose spaces. The other was a unit style facility where residents live in smaller clusters of private or semi-private rooms with more control over their immediate environment. So they use environmental sensors to capture the light and temperature data, and they use objective sleep measurements to track how well residents were actually sleeping. And these are not self-reported, they were all measured. So there were 3 findings that came out of this study, and each of these really matter. So the first one is that comfortable indoor temperatures support better sleep. When the thermal environment in the room was within a comfortable range, residents slept more efficiently. This held across both building types and across all seasons. Temperature matters. It sounds really common sense, but we know yet in many facilities it is managed as a cost consideration, not a health consideration. The second finding is that higher light intensity during the day supports better sleep at night. This is about circadian rhythms and the internal body clock that tells us when to be awake and when to sleep. When the clock gets enough bright light during the day, it functions well. When it does not, the whole sleep cycle can be thrown off. So bright, well-lit daytime environments are not just pleasant, they are actually therapeutic. And the third finding is one that I find most striking. In the conventional style nursing homes, high light levels at night were disrupting residents' sleep, not because the staff were leaving lights on unnecessarily, not because of that at all, but because of the architecture, because of the space itself, room orientation, shared corridors that were difficult to fully darken, communal spaces that bled light into sleeping areas. The building was keeping residents awake. The unit-style facilities, however, did not have this problem to the same degree because smaller room clusters gave residents and staff more control over the lighting environment. So now, if you work in dementia care, you know how central sleep is to everything else. Disrupted sleep in dementia is associated with increased agitation, cognitive decline, and poorer quality of life. And, of course, significant higher burden on care partners and families. What this research is telling us is that some of that sleep disruption may not be a symptom of dementia. It is a symptom of the building, the architecture, the environment is creating chronic nighttime light exposure, and that exposure is driving the very outcome we are working so hard to manage. Think about that for a moment. A resident who is restless, confused, and agitated at night may be responding to a building design problem, not a clinical one. And if we do not look at the environment as part of the assessment, we may never find it. So, as health and aged care workers, what can we do with this information? The first thing that we can do is a nighttime light audit. Walk through your facility after dark. Stand in a resident's room with a door as it would normally be at night and look at what light comes in. Is it coming in from the corridor? Is the light coming in from communal areas? From outdoor lighting that gets through the windows? If you can see it, so can the resident. The next thing you want to have a look at is to review the temperature settings. This sounds simple, but think about a resident who may not be able to tell you if they're too hot or too cold. Are rooms individually adjustable, or are they monitored for comfort, rather than just set to a standard level? And of course, advocate. When your building is being refurbished, when new buildings are being planned, get in that conversation about lighting and room orientation into the discussion early. Advocate for circadian lighting systems, which shift automatically from bright, cool light during the day to warm, dim light in the evening. Advocate for room placement that minimizes nighttime light intrusion. These are not expensive luxuries, they are health interventions. And in the meantime, where building modifications are not possible, practical steps like blackout curtains, door screens, and repositioning of low-level nighttime lighting can make a genuine difference. The core message of this research is one I want to say clearly. Light and temperature are not background conditions. They are design variables with direct effects on health. The building is either supporting the health of the person inside it, or it is undermining it. So when we talk about dementia-inclusive design, we cannot only mean wayfinding and safety. We have to mean the full sensory environment, including the quality of light across the day, the darkness of the night, and the warmth and comfort of the space. These things shape sleep, and sleep shapes everything else. So what I hope this study prompts is a conversation about building standards. For some countries, because I understand this is going out to a global audience, we have accreditation frameworks for aged care facilities. For some countries, you have design guidelines, but do these guidelines include specific requirements for circadian lighting, for room orientation relative to light sources, for nighttime light exposure limits? So this research suggests they should, and future studies need to test exactly what modifications make the biggest difference, so that we can move from knowing the problem to having a clear evidence-based playbook for solving it. So yes, that's all from me today, and thank you so much for spending this time with me. So if this episode has made you look at the lights in your facility a little differently or sparked a conversation with a colleague or a manager, then it has done its job. Please know that a full blog post for this episode is also available on our website with a complete reference for Kono, Nara, and Nagasawa paper if you want to read the original study. So yes, I'll be back soon with another research paper and another conversation about how the built environment shapes lives in dementia care. So until then, take care and thank you.